Hey guys, it has been quite a while since I've made a video that's really talking about music, and I've just been busy, and recently I got a phone tripod because honestly my phone is the best camera I have. The other cameras I have access to aren't going to record video that's in as high quality as, this camera. So I figured it would probably better just to make videos on it. It's going to be higher quality than what I have as far as webcams and other stuff that I have. Even a 720p camera of my mom's that I use sometimes doesn't record the best audio, and even though it's 720p, it doesn't really look all that high quality. So I'm not entirely sure what's up with that, but I was thinking about something the other day, and just through scrolling through Facebook and looking at different YouTube videos and things like that. I've noticed, as I grew up, I got big into metal when I was about 12 years old, and stayed into metal since then. And I hadn't really heard much metal before I was 12, but the metal that I did hear was like Under Oath and Skillet, and not so much the kind of metal that I listen to now, like the more traditional style metal bands, like the kind of metal bands that your metal radicalist people on YouTube are going to be calling the real metal bands, the death metal, folk metal, black metal. They weren't bands like that, but I still dug what I heard until I really got into metal when I was 12 because of playing Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and then I looked up some of the other bands that were associated with the bands that were on those games, and I mean, it was pretty much just a downhill ride from there. I really, really loved what I found, and I have been a huge metalhead ever since. It's something that's been a big part of my life and has affected me quite prominently. Something that I've thought about, though, and I've seen happen among millennials. I am a millennial. I turned 18 a couple of months ago. It's something that I have seen happen among millennials is I've seen a lot of millennials start to drift away from metal music, and I guess I haven't really understood why. Since I'm a psychology major, I'm supposed to be able to figure that out, but, I can't exactly run an experiment. But I found myself not so much drifting away to it for a while. I got into just metal for a little while, and then for a couple of years, until I was about 16-ish, I listened to a lot of different stuff, and then I went back to just metal. I also stopped listening to music quite as much. I used to listen to it pretty much every opportunity that I got, whether I was in the car, or whether I was, even just doing the dishes, or for my parents, or something like that. I would listen to music a lot. I constantly have those earbuds, and people would interrupt me, and I'd get really ticked off. And just stuff like that. And I'd listen to it before I went to bed, and when I woke up in the morning, I'd listen to music a lot, and especially metal. But I really kind of drifted away from that. I went through a couple phases where music in general was just unappealing, which this was really strange, and then music became appealing again, but it was less appealing than before, and since then I've still listened to more or less just metal for the most part. I used to listen to a lot of varied stuff, and I'd be really branched out a lot. I could listen to a lot of stuff in one day. I could listen to, Southern gospel and rap and death metal and, whatever else I wanted to do. Or whatever I felt like doing, but, once I went through these two phases where music wasn't really appealing, I just went back just to metal. It was really interesting because I'm seeing a lot of millennials around me and people around me who were once into metal stop listening to it as much and just branch out and listen to whatever they want. I'm especially seeing this happen among modern metalheads. That is, metalheads that listen to more modern bands that the metal elitists would call fake metal or poser metal bands like metalcore and hardcore and your Avenged Sevenfold kind of metal. I've seen this happen a lot. I've seen it happen more among the metalheads that listen to that kind of metal. I've seen it happen less with the metalheads that are into the more traditional styles like death, folk, black, thrash, doom, all those the non emo stuff. The kind of shows where you go to and you would see a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s, maybe some guys that are even older with big beards and hair and stuff, as opposed to the kind of show where you go and you see a bunch of people that are between 12 and 22 that have, you know, emo hairstyles and piercings and all that kind of stuff. It's and you see your stereotypical white girls and stuff like that at those shows. I mean, the more traditional styles of metal, I've seen the metalheads, the millennial metalheads, stick to that more than I've seen the millennial metalheads that stick to the more emo metal styles. The millennials that were into the kind of emo styles seem to drift away more, but I've still seen a lot of my friends and people like that kind of drift away from it. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure, you know, what's really going on there. It's been kind of confusing. I've had a couple friends who, also millennials, who were, you know, pretty much just metalheads for a while. Like, they stayed consistently just, you know, metal's what I'm about. I know it may not be the best style of music, or there are other styles out there, but I'm just gonna stick to this for a while. And then they do, and then they eventually branch out where they're listening to a lot of stuff, including metal, kind of like I did for a while. But this is something that I'm seeing a lot of my friends, my millennial friends, do consistently, or I only did it for a little bit. I got just in metal and then branched out for a while and then went back just to metal, where I'm seeing this kind of trend where I'm seeing a lot of millennials go through it as if it's just a phase, which it kind of might be, because I've seen a lot of my friends who are younger than me, who are maybe freshmen in high school or about to enter high school, where they kind of get into metal as a trend, because there is kind of this whole subculture that's metal as a trend, and then there's kind of metal as a lifestyle or an art kind of thing. And I've seen millennials who are with some of the more trendy stuff tend to go away more, but even in the more traditional styles, I've kind of seen it happen. So my question is, what have you guys seen? Because I just find it odd that people's tastes are changing like this, because I'm still a freaking die-hard metalhead, and I love it. It's still a lifestyle for me in a way. I'm not able to go to as many shows as I was able to before, but I still go to ones when I can. You know, I love it. My love for it has not decreased. Lately I've been listening to music more like I used to. It's still mainly metal. There have been occasional times where I'll drift out and listen to like a pop star I liked when I was younger, like Rihanna or Lady Gaga or something. Or lately, as far as non-metal music, I've been enjoying horrorcore rap, like Serial Killing Record stuff is interesting, and I also really like Lorde for some reason. I've seen some live videos of her, and she seems like she just really enjoys the music, even though without the autotune she may not be that great of a singer, but you can tell she just really likes the music aspect to it. So this is just something I've noticed and something I've thought about. So answer this question. Have you guys seen the same thing? Have you seen something that's maybe a little bit different? Or have you seen millennials stay consistent? I just feel like I'm one of the few millennials that have stayed consistently. I like metal. I like pretty much just metal. You know, this is what I like to do. You know, I vary in my case for that long. I've been just metal most of the time. So I'm wondering what you guys have been seeing. I'd be curious to hear, because I'm just curious what's causing this kind of decline in, you know, millennials that are big into metal. Maybe it's just a phase for them. Maybe it is kind of a trendy thing. I'm not entirely sure, but I'd be curious to know what you guys think. So post a comment or maybe a video response if you've done some research. I don't know. just, I don't know, let me know what you find.